Hi everyone, welcome back to Storybaggers. Today we will be reading chapter 12. On with the story. There may be many wonderful things to behold in the big wide world of Haven, thought Boo, as he slowly and deliberately straightened his new waistcoat, but watching old Batwings guzzle a lizard gizzard was not one of them. He wondered how long he could get away with pretending to study his buttons so that he didn't have to watch the awful clawfuls being stuffed into the old bat gob. Did you speak? You? Boo sighed. No, sir, I didn't. And it's Boo. Who? Boo-hoo. Now, no need to get upset. Didn't what? Didn't speak. Didn't peek at what? No, sir, I mean I didn't say anything, sir. I should think not. You young bats should be seen and not heard. I should think not. Young bats should be seen and not heard. Nothing worth saying, mostly. Peeking at your elders and betters while they're eating their breakfast, were you? Muttering? Where are your manners, boy? Old Batwings broke off his tirade to let a long liquid belch roll around the cavern, and back again. The echoes had encores. No manners at all. He extended a dirty talon and fished around inside his mouth, grunting with satisfaction as he found the thing that had got wedged between his back fangs. He yanked it out and held it up to get a closer look, then flicked it onto the floor. The nearest beefy bat shuffled a bit nearer and put his foot on it, a little treat to have later when no one was looking. Yum. Old Batwing sat back in the old bat chair, satisfied. Gizzards, guts and gallbladders, no better way to start a night. He stared coldly at the young bat in front of him and tried to remember why he had summoned him to Cathedral Cavern. Then he remembered. Ah, yes. Well, little Moo, Boo, Boo muttered under his breath. Surely the old devil was doing this deliberately. You did well yesterday, as I recall. Better than many of my older and bigger bats. He shot a nasty look at the guard. Maybe you could teach them a trick or two. Time to prove yourself again, I think. What do you say to hunting down another happy ending, Wouldn't that be nice? Boo's eyes lit up. Yes, sir. I was hoping that you'd send me out again. Now that I've bagged my first story, I think I've caught the bug for it. You've caught the what? The bug, sir. Well, I trust you've caught enough for everyone, little Pooh. It doesn't do to be selfish with these things. Old Batwings turned, neck bones popping, to the nearest guard who appeared to be rooted to the spot by 1 foot. Quite frankly, nothing surprises me these days. The manners of most young bats are not at all what they should be. After establishing that Boo did not, in fact, have any delicious buggy morsels with him, old Batwings made him turn out his waistcoat pockets just to make sure. He dismissed him, grumpily. And don't bother coming back until you've got something good. You don't want to disappoint me. You wouldn't like me when I'm disappointed. Boo needed no second warning. He didn't like him much anyway. It was time to fly.
It's all very well trying to be as tears in the rain and all that, but it's hard to be stealthy when your tummy keeps rumbling.
Bobble tried to ignore Vesper's grumbles about his rumbles and to focus instead on the patch of beech bark on which he was going to attempt to make a silent landing. Sticking claws and tongue out in equal measure, he launched himself and glided softly towards the tree trunk. Oof! It was only the slightly squidgy sound of something soft hitting something solid, and there he was, flattened against the tree, 2 shining eyes in a small patch of darkness deeper than the rest of the trunk. The ninja effect was ruined somewhat by the opening of a small pink mouth. Even from where Vesper was hovering, it looked smug. Ha! What do you think of that, then?
Hey, not bad, Bobble. I can hardly see you at all. Very sneaky. Watch out now. I'm coming in.
Bobble, who was trying not to blow his cover by sneezing out the bark dust, which had shot up his nose on landing, barely had time to shuffle sideways before Vesper smashed into the trunk next to him. Leaves were dislodged from bigger branches higher up the tree. They drifted down past a wheezing Vesper.
Bit more practice needed, that's all.
Bobble patted his winded friend's back in sympathy and looked out into the night. All around them their friends were flittering between the shadows, barely detectable except for the occasional "Ooh, ooh!" or "Look out, I'm coming through!" It was a start. It was something. But now that Bobble had started to wonder about how many stories may have been bagged in the past without anyone noticing, he was beginning to believe that this fight may be too big for the Double A's to handle. That was a very creditable attempt at a silent landing, Bobble. Why don't you have another go? The voice was so close to his ear that he could actually feel Dr. Kumori's warm breath on the side of his head. Bobble very nearly lost his grip on the bark. Neither he nor Vesper had heard their teacher land right next to them. It was unnerving, but quite cool for an old guy. You will find that it helps with streamlining to keep your tongue inside your mouth. And Vesper? Try to extend your claws out a little further than your tummy. Saves on leaves. Bobble plucked up the courage to ask the thing that had been on his mind. Dr. Kumori, who did you send messages to? Who's coming to help us? The teacher thought for a moment, then moved sideways so that he could look properly at them both. I believe I mentioned in class that this is not the first time that old Batwings has tried to steal the happy endings. Last time, with the agreement of the council, a specially trained group of guardians, the battalion, was assembled to make sure that he was stopped. Naturally, there were bats, the fastest flyers with the keenest night vision that we could find, but there were rats too, who monitored vampire activity in Haven Town itself. Birds covered the skies in daylight hours, though actually they saw very little action, as the vampires found it troublesome to operate during the day. And there were humans too, but not many. Humans are mostly too slow and heavy-moving to be useful, and they tend not to see things even if they're right in front of their noses, bless them. These guardians had skills that most of us do not. They were fast, and they were ruthless, sworn to protect the stories at any cost, even with their own lives. Many of them were lost. Dr. Kumori raised a claw in warning. No, Vesper, I'm not going to tell you all about the dreadful battles that were fought. Suffice it to say that nothing worth winning is won without sacrifice. But, in the end, we were victorious. When the vampires were driven back to the tunnels of the Horrorsom Heights, the council thought that Haven had no further need of the battalion's services, and so, against my better judgment, it was disbanded. Some of the guardians returned to their jobs and families. Others found it difficult to settle down again to everyday life, and they took to travelling, both in Haven and in the Red World. Dr. Kumori looked solemnly across at Bobble and Vesper, whose eyes were gleaming in the dark. Your great-uncle Bendigo was one of them, Bobble. He never could settle back to ordinary life. But Bendy is a good bat to have around in times of trouble. I hope that he and others will hear the call. Messages have been sent. Help will come. Bobble's heart was pounding. Bendigo was coming, he was sure of it. If by the smallest chance he had heard the message, he would come. Everything was going to be all right. If the masked bats were coming, then the stories would be safe. In tomorrow's Storybaggers, we come face to face with a real-life superhero and coolest uncle ever, Bendigo. Till then, stay safe everyone, stay inside, and good night.